All right, listen up, because I've got little to say about this movie and a lot of time to say it. Wait, strike that. Reverse it. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today our movie in the middle is Wonka. Wonka is the magical prequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, following young Willy Wonka as he works to kickstart his dreams of running a chocolate shop with all kinds of enchanted and eclectic sweets. It stars Timothee Chalamet, Calah Lane, Paterson Joseph, Keegan Michael Key, Rowan Atkinson, Olivia Colman, and Hugh Grant. So this is the third adaptation of the Willy Wonka or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory book by Roald Dahl, and it is obviously very totally different from the others. Actually, all three of them have had kind of a different take on the tone and angle of the movie. Obviously, the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is one of the most iconic movies out there. It has spurred so many references and iconic moments in other pieces of media.
I am Willy Wonka!
3 days ago, I slipped 5 pieces of gold paper into random paper shipments.
Oompa Loompa. Doo-pa-dee, dawsome.
I actually used to not like the first one when I was younger because it has, kind of that dated look, the late 60s, early 70s, which to me has never looked really that great. Actually, I think it hasn't looked great to anybody, even the people who were in it. But in the last couple of years, I've been rewatching it, and the humor is so good. The charm is really there. I love a lot of it way more than I used to. Obviously, Gene Wilder is incredible in the role as he is in everything. It's probably his most iconic role, and he's just wonderful in it. But, as you get older watching this movie, you realize that it is a little bit... No, it's a lot more sadistic than you probably thought as a kid. It's so creepy, and it's just got this underlying cynicism and kind of... It feels a little bit mean-spirited in some spots, and of course, Wonka himself just seems sort of, evil.
Yes, the danger must be growing, for the rowers keep on rowing, and they're certainly not showing any signs that they are slowing.
But luckily, it does end on a very happy note after 4 children have died. Maybe. We don't really know. Then, there's the Tim Burton one.
Good morning, Starshine. The Earth says hello.
This is one of those that I feel like I would maybe do an in defense of because a lot of people hate it, and I can see why. But then there's a lot of people who really do like it or see something in it, and honestly, I'm one of those people. I really liked this one as a kid. I haven't really watched it in a while, but I did like it before I realized that it is also quite odd. But I actually do like this one probably a little bit more even now than a lot of other people because A, it's Tim Burton. He's directing it. What did you think was going to happen? He does everything fantasy and horror. It was kind of cool to see what his take on this would be. Honestly, I would be interested to see what his take on The Wizard of Oz would be as well if he were to do that. Obviously, it wouldn't compare to the original, but I think it'd be cool to see. B, it's got some pretty cool ideas. It's got some cool different takes on things. I like how in this one it actually goes more into Wonka's backstory, with his dad and not being able to eat candy his whole life, and he still hasn't, but he still makes it for everybody. And yes, he's definitely not anywhere near as good as Gene Wilder's Wonka, but he's still kind of interesting. And there's some cool things that they do in this one that they didn't do in the first one. Specifically, when we see the kids at the end, one, to know that, yes, they are at least alive, if not, not okay. I always thought it was cool when I was a really young kid to see Mike TV coming out, and he's like this giant, stretched out guy. Don't know why, I just always thought that was kind of the coolest looking thing. I was like, God, this is so weird. And C, I just liked that it was, more of a modern look because, like I said, the original, it does just feel dated. So it was cool to have kind of a more updated look. So how does Wonka compare? Well, let's get into the highs. First, visually, tonally, this movie is so much fun. It's so heartwarming and magical and charming, and you probably honestly could have seen that in the trailer. To me, this movie was actually exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's done by the same people who did Paddington, and it kind of reminded me of like Mary Poppins Returns or The Greatest Showman. These kind of British, nice, fun, safe, happy movies. Paddington actually, I think I haven't seen them to be honest with you, but I know that it's critically really, really well done. And well received, so I can't speak to the actual quality of it, but I know that it's kind of the same tone where it's very happy, very charming, very heartwarming. It's just one of those movies that, it's British, it's magical, it's feel good, it like in the trailer it has to have like cogs turning and like bells dinging. Like, you know exactly what I mean. And also, if you had told me that David Yates directed this, I would have fully believed it. I'm actually really surprised that it wasn't him, because it also was made by the people who made Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts as well. And this had a lot of moments that reminded me of Fantastic Beasts, straight up to like taming animals and like doing things with them. It was exactly like some scenes in Fantastic Beasts. I mean, it's really Honeyduke's the movie. So I'm surprised that he didn't do it. And along with that, I really, really liked the kind of new inventions and designs of the chocolates, the uses of the chocolates and the other candies, because obviously in the other two we get a lot of really cool ones, but in this one we get new ones, and the way that they use them in the plot as well was really, really cool. And the story itself was very, very cool. It was very clever, really well thought out. I really liked it. It kind of reminded me of like if it was the Santa Claus is Coming to Town special for Willy Wonka. You know, he comes to this town and there's a problem that he has to fix, and he's being thwarted at every corner, but he's going to get out of it, and he has all these other people to like break him out, and it reminded me a lot of that, but for Willy Wonka. And Timothee Chalamet as Wonka, he was great in this role. He was handy, he was charming, he was clever, albeit he might have been a little bit generic compared to something like Gene Wilder, but I think it's going to be this running theme that if you don't compare this movie to the other two, or at least to the original, it stands fine on its own, and that speaks to the performance that Timothee Chalamet gives as well. It might feel a little bit generic, but I think that's just because there's not this sarcastic, sadistic side to him that makes him a little more edgy. He's more of just the inspirational, the quirky, but he was great. He pretty much commanded all of the scenes that he was in, which I guess was all of them. And it's fun to see him in more fun, lighthearted roles, because he's been in a lot of indie stuff and a lot of really, really heavy stuff. So it's cool to see him branch out, because he's really good in pretty much everything he's in. This one is also definitely like a full-on musical, and I really liked most of the songs. Like they were very fun. They felt good. I am just consistently, when it comes to musicals and musical lyrics, I'm just consistently impressed at how people can come up with new rhymes and ways to rhyme things, especially with something like Roald Dahl, where you can kind of make up words, or you can say words kind of differently or in a weird way that doesn't really make sense. It was really, really fun. And to be honest with you, I think holistically, it actually was kind of better than the music in the original. Listen, I mean...
Cheer up, Charlie, give me a smile.
I only have like two kind of smallish lows. The one that I definitely knew was going to be a low before I even saw the movie was Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa. He wasn't terrible or anything. Don't get me wrong. It's not like a giant thing. But I just don't love the design because it's CGI. I think it looks kind of dumb. I would have preferred if they had a little person in the role. I mean, I guess for the look of the movie and then what they had to do with the Oompa Loompa, it was easier to do it CGI because of a lot of things that have to happen. I get it. Hugh Grant was fine. I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of the Oompa Loompa in this one. And you could probably guess from the trailer and just how these things usually go in the prequels, but because he's such a big deal, he's actually not in it that much. So it kind of helped. There's also some things logistically that weren't really explained. You can probably infer how they did some of these things based on stuff that had already talked about previously or shown previously. And then you could kind of be like, all right, they probably did this, they probably did that, and that's how they were able to get here. But it feels at some points like kind of a stretch. Like, all right, I have to probably guess that they did all these things. Not really sure. A lot of the parts in the middle where they're actually developing all the chocolate and getting to a chocolate store and everything, it goes really fast. I would have actually liked more of that. And then just logistically, I would have liked a little bit more of an explanation. Specifically on the fact that Wonka is a very magical person in his personality, and he is in this one very explicitly addressed as a magician. There's a difference between a magician who has really good sleight of hand and somebody who just has magical powers. And in this one, it feels like there's a lot of things that no matter how good of a magician you are, it is just not explainable that you can do that. So overall, Wonka was, like I said, exactly what I thought it was going to be from the trailer. It was fun. It was a feel-good. It was a good time. It was really funny at some points. I really loved the music. Visually, it just makes you feel good. The cinematography was incredible. The music was great. I liked it. It's fun. You know, it doesn't have to blow me away. It was a good theater experience, especially if you're not going to compare it to the original and just see this more as just its own adaptation. I'm going to give Wonka...
The suspense is terrible. He's gonna go this time. I hope it'll last.
a 3 out of 4. Well, guys, let me know what you thought of Wonka. Let me know where it compares between the actual movies and then the people who have played Wonka. Let me know what your ranking is there. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and chocolate right in the middle. I'll see you guys later.